Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, I want to acknowledge all the Akim who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick one in Isaiah 44 through the Spirit. It says, "Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen." All right, so we always tell you, Yahweh is only dealing with Israel, no other nation. All right, he's chosen the nation of Israel. He hasn't chosen the other nations. It says, "O Jacob, my servant," because why? We're his servants. We're the ones who serve. We're the only ones who can serve Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. All right, and that's why in the camps you only see Jake, teaching the word on the street corners. You don't see the Moabites. You don't see the Edomites. You don't see the Arabs, which are the Ishmaelites. No, you see Jacob. We're the servants of Yahweh. All right. 2. Thus saith Yahweh that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. And Jeshurun it means child of the upright, or the beloved Israel. All right. Just so you know. Verse 3, "For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring." So who's bearing the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai? It's the Israelites, the men who are teaching on the street corners. The Lord poured the spirit on us to do what we do, to go out there and teach, right? Our righteousness is of Yahweh. All right, let me get a precept. Eventually, he's going to pour the Spirit on all flesh, but right now, the prophets rise up early, so he pours his Spirit on his prophets first, and we're the ones who understand and get this knowledge and this truth. We receive this knowledge and truth before everyone else, before the elect, which is the rest of the Israel that's actually going to hearken and believe this truth and this knowledge. Right? Let me get Joel, however you want to say it. Joel 2, and it's 29. On the top of your screen, it says, "And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit." So his servants are the prophets, and the handmaids are the the women that are eventually going to come into this knowledge and this truth, right? But it's going to take humbling by the women. See, the men, we do it early. We do it, we're doing it before the calamities of Jacob's trouble, before the the famine of bread. We do it. We rise early, as the scripture speaks. We get the knowledge before everyone, right? It's mercy from Yahweh. Let me get that verse real quick. I believe it's in, let me see. It's in Jeremiah. Oh, shoot, wrong. Jeremiah 44 and 4. And I believe 4, it represents mercy, But this is all 4. It's Jeremiah 44 and 4. "Howbeit I sent unto you all my servants the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, Oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate." Right? So that's the Lord's prophets. We get the truth early. And it starts out with our elders, and their elders before them. But not every man is a prophet, right? Every man in Israel is supposed to be a prophet, but we're not all prophets, because the Lord puts the Spirit on his 144,000, and eventually his elect first, right? And really, the 144,000 is who rises up early that we're reading about. So we're going back to Isaiah 44 and 3. I'll read that again. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, floods upon the dry ground. I will pour out my spirit upon thy seed and blessing upon thine offspring. So the dry ground would represent, the earth not having this knowledge, not having this truth. See? And the water for the ones that are thirsty. Who's thirsty for this truth? It's the men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. We're the ones who are thirsty for the truth. We have a spirit on us. When we first started learning, when we first came into the truth, it was like all of a sudden the spirit just jumped on us. It was like an obsession. We wanted to learn everything we could as quickly as possible. I mean, that's the spirit I had, and Lord will, the spirit stays on me to be that way, to be diligent, to always continually want to learn. So, because you got to learn to teach, right? You got to drink the milk before you can chew on the meat. And that's what, the prophets have done. This is verse 4. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water courses. See that? So we're springing up. We're bringing this truth out live and direct, right? The Lord's men are doing the work. We're studying, we're learning, the Spirit is working with, his men. And we're, eventually able to teach the word, right? Let me get this precept that comes to mind. Deuteronomy 32:2. My doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Similar to what we read in Isaiah 44. All right. So this is his doctrine dropping like the rain through his men, the prophets. That's why we spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. Verse 5, one shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob. Is that not what we're doing now? We're saying, hey, we're Jake. We're the men, we're the descendants of the forefather Jacob. We're claiming that, We're holding that title. Let me read it again. One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel. You see that? And that's what we're doing. We're remembering ourselves in our captivity. All right? We're remembering ourselves in captivity. Let's get that in Baruch. In our captivity, in our slavery. That's the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. We're remembering who we are, even though we're in captivity, even though this truth has been hidden from us. As it tells you in Psalms 83, it calls us the hidden ones. All right, so we go to Baruch 2:30, and it says, For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. So this is us remembering ourselves. We're in captivity, right? And a lot of our people are going to stay in that foolish state where they're stiff-necked, and they won't hear Yahweh. They won't hear his mouthpiece, because they don't want to, they really don't want to embrace greatness, is what it comes down to. We're telling you, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, that you are the greatest people on the planet Earth, and you don't want to embrace that. You want to keep calling yourself a byword that the oppressor gave you, right? You want to take pride in being a byword. You're supposed to take pride in being like what we're reading in Isaiah 44. Let's go back to that, Isaiah 44. We're supposed to be taking pride in really who we are. One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel. You see? Thus saith Yahweh, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, And the Lord of hosts, I am the first and I am the last, and besides me there is no power. Right? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, there's no power as Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai, his son, is, he's the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega. But this is talking about Yahweh, right? But when it comes to like spirits and men, Yahweh Shai, he was the first spirit created by Yahweh. The two different entities. Some of these Christians want to make them the same person, the same being, the same entity. That's not the case. There's a Father and there's a Son. Verse 7, and who as I shall call and declare it and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people. And the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. Right. I shall call and declare it and shall declare it, and set it in order for me, since I appointed of the ancient people. And the ancient people dealing with the Israelites, who were his first, his begotten. We are his chosen. We are his fervent, his fervent people. Right? He doesn't give a shit about the other nations. Let's read verse 8. Fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have not I told thee from that time, and have declared it? Ye are even my witnesses. Is there a power beside me? Yeah, there is no power. I know not any. So we don't have to fear, and we can bet the house on this truth. If it's written, then we can bet the house that it's going to happen. You can bet the farm, however you want to put it. You see? Because why? These prophecies are faithful and true. Let's get that real quick. Actually, let me see. Well, the one I want is Revelation 21 and 5. Revelation 21 and 5. It says, and he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is at thirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. And that's beautiful, because that's what I'm reading. You see? Those that thirst for the water. And really, the ones who are thirsting for this water, the ones that he raises up early, are his prophets. All right? The 144,000, the men who are, the men of Israel who are prophesying in the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But he's faithful and true, meaning every word that has been written, you can guarantee it's going to come to pass. And he puts that spirit of faith on his men, his 144,000 prophets, first to believe this truth and this knowledge. And, it's manifesting. And it's all the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yahweh is the one who has, this is his story. He's controlling every aspect of it. And he's putting the spirit on all flesh to do what's happening in these last days. He controls the left-hand side. He controls the right-hand side. This is his book. This is his story. History, right? That's what his history is, his story. Isaiah 44 and again, we don't need to fear anything, because why? Because if it's written, it's faithful and true. Verse 9, they that make a graven image are all of them vanity, and their and their delectable things shall not profit, and they are their own witnesses. They see not nor know that they may be ashamed. Yeah, because if you get a statue of Cesare Borgia, that there's nothing that false idol can do. It can't smell. It can't see. It can't. It has no power, right? That's in the Apocrypha. I think in Wisdom of Solomon, it talks about that. Let me see if I can find that. Wisdom of Solomon. Oh, you know what? 14 through the Spirit. Let's see. Yep, this is it. Let's talk this whole chapter. Is basically going in on graven images and false idols. I'll read, start at 8, Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed. So these false idols, like if you know, a lot of these Northern Kingdom Israelites, you know, and I'm really specifically thinking about Issachar, the so-called Mexican. They have in their yards, they got all these statues of Jesus, Mary, all these false idols right in their yards and in their homes. And this is what we're reading about right here. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and because being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High. So it's a hateful thing for the one who creates the statue, you know, or the graven image, and the one who worships the graven image. Both of them are hateful unto the Most High. Verse 10, for that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. So they're all going to go down. The ones who make the false idols, false graven images, and the ones who worship those graven images. You're going to have the same fate, which is going to be death, the grave. Verse 11, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High they are become an abomination, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. So these are traps. That's what a snare is. It's a trap. So if you have, you know, if you're in that mindset and you have statues of Jesus or Cesare Borgia, you know, or statues of Mary in your yard, this is a stumbling block to the souls of men and a snare to the feet of the unwise. You have no wisdom. The Lord didn't give you a spirit of discernment to understand that that's a wicked ass thing. And for you to be sitting there praying or putting any type of spiritual, religious meaning towards those graven images and those false idols, which are just stumbling blocks, hey, that's going to ultimately become your demise, become your destruction. You know, I know a lot of Catholics, they're you know, if they watch this video, this lesson, they could get offended, or if they're of the elect, they'll actually repent from that thing. You see? Okay, let's read this. Wisdom Psalm 14 and 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. So when these idols started popping up all over the earth, this was the beginning of spiritual fornication, meaning you're being a spiritual whore, right? You got a big ass statue of Mary in your backyard or in your front yard. You see, this is spiritual fornication. Verse 13, for neither were they from the beginning, and neither shall they be forever. Yeah, our forefathers didn't have that shit in their you know, in their dwellings. No, that's a new thing on the earth. Well, it's old, but it's new compared to our ancient forefathers did not have no statue of white Mary and white Jesus or the nativity in their front yards or, you know, where they lived. For verse 14, and I'll stop here. For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. All right? So these idols are traps, they're snares. These graven images are snares, stumbling blocks. And you know, Israelites who are still caught up in that bullshit, hey, that's a punishment of Yahweh. He's not having mercy on you, you know, by allowing you to keep that thing. And you even got people wearing the crosses on their neck with Cesare Borgia. Matter of fact, I seen Issachar today with a big ass cross on his neck with Cesare Borgia. And at this point, we're deep in the game. Sometimes, like before, you would always want to address that when you first come in the truth. And now it's more like, all right, this motherfucker, I'm going to let him, remain in his foolishness. Isaiah 44, 10. Who hath formed a god or molten a graven image that is profitable for nothing? You see? How can that statue of Cesare Borgia or of Jesus or of Mary, how is that going to help you? When the missiles come, what are those stupid statues going to do? They're just going to fall over and crush on the ground. They're going to be part of the destruction. Then they got them giant ass graven images like the one in Brazil. I forgot the name of it. Something, I think it might be the Christos, or I don't even remember what it's called, but I believe it's one of the eight wonders of the world. But that thing is going to be destroyed. And you have all these, which are Brazilians. Those are Asher, right? Asher. That's the tribe of Asher. Those Brazilians. They, so many of those Brazilians, just like the majority of our people, they call on those false images. That's what they're hoping is going to save them, and they pay homage. Like if you see the boxers or the UFC fighters, when they win a fight, what do they say? Oh, I want to thank my Lord and Savior. And they say, Jesus Christ. But you see, those are not our saviors. That's not our savior. When you get into this knowledge and this truth, when you get wisdom, you start to understand that it ain't no fucking Jesus. It's Yahweh Shai. He's the Messiah. All right? So let me keep reading. Verse 11, it says, Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed and workmen. They are of men. Let them all be gathered together and let them stand up. Yet they shall fear and they shall be ashamed together. So if you're caught up in that mess, you're going to be ashamed with all the other, and I'll call them heathen, because you're a heathen if you're worshiping that kind of stuff. But those are fashioned by the heathen. Whether it was an Israelite that did it or an actual heathen, you become a heathen. You're acting like a heathen, somebody outside of the nation of Israel, right? You're acting like the other nations. You might as well be the other nation because you're worshiping a power or a false idol that is not your true power. All right? Verse 12. The smith with tongs both worketh in the coals, and fashioneth it with hammers, and worketh with the strength of his arms. He is hungry, and his strength faileth. He drinketh no water, and is faint. Right. These idols, these graven images, they're useless. It's vanity. That's what vanity means, useless. And it's talking about the smith. So a smith can create, weapons and also these graven images, which are useless. All right, let's get to the next the next verse 13. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule, he marketh it with a line, he fitteth it with planes, and he marketh it with the compass, and he maketh it after the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. See? So that the carpenter, right? He's like the smith. Or the artificer. That's another name for this. Let me go back to Wisdom of Solomon, because I'm pretty sure it speaks on the artificer, which is somebody who makes these graven images. That's what an artificer is. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah. And this is the same thing. Kahala Yahba Shem Yasha is perfect chapter to precept. Isaiah 44 is Wisdom of Solomon. Let me see. Let's start reading. I'm going to read verse 5. It says, Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that thy works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. For an old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by the hand escaped in a weak vessel and left to all ages the seed of generation. Speaking about Noah, right? But let me see. All right. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. All right. So that basically what it's saying here is the boat, Noah's Ark, that was more of a blessing than this other thing that's made by wood, which are the, like the crosses they make, that wooden crosses, wooden images, wooden graven images carved from wood. You see? In verse 8, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well as he that made it, because he made it, and because being corruptible it was called God. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both like hateful unto God. And that's what I just read. Let me see if I can find the... okay, here's, let's do this one. Verse 14 and 21. And this, actually... Okay. Well, this is actually talking about... Oh, yeah, here we go. The artificer. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 18. Also, the singular diligence of the artificer did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition. Because you got to remember that the image of Cesare Borgia, or this is even going back to Serapis Christos. Both of the, because things repeat themselves, right? You had the Roman, Serapis Christos, if you look him up, he was basically like the stumbling block that was set up during the Ptolemy dynasty during Egypt, right? They had Serapis Christos, which would, pretty much repeat itself. History repeats itself because the spirits all come back, or we're all regenerated, reincarnated. That's why history repeats itself. So it repeated itself, just like Serapis Christos was a stumbling block and a false idol. Same thing when fast forward to during the Renaissance, when the Greeks and Romans were setting up their false images and false idols, and I'm referring to good old Cesare Borgia, aka Jesus Christ. All right, and if you don't know, if you're new, you don't know who Cesare Borgia is, you look up that name. It's actually Caesar Borgia. We say Cesare, but you look up Caesar Borgia, you're going to realize that he is actually was the model for the one that they called Jesus Christ. Okay, you look at those two men. Cesare was a real person in history. Jesus Christ was just a fake fake false idol that was created, but the model for Jesus Christ was, for Cesare Borgia was actually Jesus Christ. All right, he was never a real man. The one that you were taught is the Messiah. He never walked the earth. The true Messiah that walked the earth was Yahweh Shai, a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. All right, the Jews are the so-called blacks. That's the head tribe of Israel. And then you have Benjamin and Levi, which are of those are the southern kingdom. But I'm kind of going on a tangent. I just trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying here regarding regarding this topic. So verse 21, and like I say, it goes back to Serapis Christos and Jesus Christ. This is talking about both of them when I read this verse 21. And this was an occasion to deceive the world, for men, serving either calamity or tyranny, did ascribe unto stones and stocks an incommunicable name. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. So it's actually a plague if you're worshiping a false idol. All right. But we read about the artificer, or I hope I'm saying that word right. Artificer. Watch. Let me get the definition for artificer. Okay, so this is the definition: a skilled craftsman or inventor. All right. So that's what they did. They were skilled in making these false idols, graven images, right? A craftsman. Let me see. I'm just trying to see if there are some more meat in this chapter to bring out that's relevant to this lesson. There's a part, I think it's in this chapter, but it basically says that, hey, even the guy who was a real person, Cesare Borgia, right? He was the son of a Roman pope. I think it was Henry VI, if I'm not mistaken. But it tells you that Cesare Borgia is better off than Jesus Christ, because at least Cesare actually had breath of life. When Jesus Christ, that's a false idol. And again, if you look up Cesare Borgia, you're going to see the resemblance that Jesus Christ has to him. And why? Because he was the model. They literally took Cesare Borgia, who was a real person in Rome, and they said, okay, model this false idol, this false god, after this dead man named Cesare Borgia. And I said earlier, even before that, Serapis Christos, which was during the time of the Ptolemy dynasty, when the Edomites began ruling in Egypt, right? They took over that realm, like it tells you in the Maccabees, which the realm was Egypt. You had Hamites ruling in Egypt, but then the Edomites took over, and they were actually. Let me see if I could find that verse. All right, you know what? I'm gonna look for it in my book, in my actual script, because I do want to bring that out if possible, if it's the Lord's will. Let me see. Yeah, and I might be in the. Let's see. Salakia, bear with me here. I'm looking for this specific verse. Yeah, I can't find it. I'm not finding it. That's okay. Oh, okay. I just found it. It's in 15, and it's verse 17. So this would be basically, I'm going to read it and then I'll explain it. Let's see. I'll start at 15. Wisdom of Solomon 15:15. For they counted all the idols of the heathen to be gods, which neither have the use of eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor fingers of hands to handle. And as for their feet, they are slow to go. So you see these idols, these graven images, they can't walk. They can't even walk away. If there was a threat or danger coming, like a storm, what are they going to do? They're just going to break, perish in the storm, or they can't do nothing. They can't breathe. They can't hear. Why would you worship a false idol? Like, these Catholics are straight just stupid. If this 2023, the prophets are on the scene. If you're still in Catholicism, man, the Lord's not dealing with you, man. You're still sitting there praying on your knees, praying to a fucking graven image, then you're just bugged out. So let me read 16. For man made them, and he that borrowed his own spirit fashioned them. but no man can make a god like unto himself. See that? There's no such thing as a god that's made in a graven image or fashioned by an artificer, however you say it, which is a craftsman, a skilled craftsman or inventor, right? It says in verse 17, for being mortal, he worketh a dead thing with wicked hands, for he himself is better than the things which he worshipeth, whereas he lived once, but they never. That's the one I was talking about. So even the guy who creates the idol is better off than. Okay, so Salakia, I was just recording and it wasn't. I thought it was recording. But anyway, I was pulling up the picture of. This is going back to actually Isaiah 44 and 14. It says, he heweth him down cedars and taketh the cypress and the oak, which he strengtheneth for himself among the trees in the forest. He planteth an ash, and then the rain doth nourish it. And it shall be for a man to burn, for he will take thereof the warm himself. Yea, he kindleth it and baketh bread. Yea, he maketh a god and worshipeth it. He maketh it a graven image and falleth down thereto. So that's what these images, these false idols. Usually, not usually. Literally, it's a man creating a false graven image and then getting on his knees and worshiping it. How stupid is that, right? You worship the thing that you created. That don't even make sense. You see? Verse 16. He burneth part thereof in the fire, and the part thereof he eateth the flesh. He roasteth roast, and is satisfied. Yea, he warmeth himself, and saith, Aha, I am warm, I have seen the fire. Verse 17, and this is where I'm going to stop. And the residue thereof he maketh a god, even his graven image. He falleth down unto it, and worshipeth it, and prayeth unto it, and saith, Deliver me, for thou art my God. You see how stupid it is, man? And I'm calling you Catholics out on this one, because you all are notorious for putting up these false images in your front yards and your backyards, and it's just plain stupid. You're going to sit down and worship, and not only that, you're worshiping a god that the enemy created for you, a false idol the enemy gave to you, right? He don't even look like you. You so-called blacks, Latinos, and Hispanics, you're the only people on the planet Earth that worship gods that don't look a thing like you, all right? At least some of these heathen nations, at least their gods, they actually look like them, you know? Like the Buddha, he's a fat China man. So a lot of those Asians that are Buddhism, whatever they call it, they're worshiping somebody who looks like them, you know. But you Israelites, you so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans, you're sitting there bowing down to a God that don't even look like you, or the Son of God that does not resemble you in any way, shape, or form. So that's his occasion to deceive you. I'm going to read that one more time, 14:21. Wisdom of Solomon 14:21. And this was an occasion to deceive the world, for men serving either calamity or tyranny did ascribe unto stones and stocks in the incommunicable name. All right, so wake up, man. If you're of the elect, you're going to hear this lesson and you're going to go toss that image, toss that statue in the trash or just break it on the pavement. You'd be better off. All right. So with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge Al-Aki on pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect.